Welcome to another week of rental house versus high income ETFs, take two. When I say take two, I just did this whole video only to find out that my microphone wasn't working. It was on mute. So I'm looking over. I can see the little green light moving as I talk, so it's working this time. So anyhow, for those of you that are new, we sold our rental properties, most of them. And in November 2024, one of the last properties we sold, we took that money and put it into some high income ETFs. And this is comparing how that is doing compared to if we would have kept the house. So if this sounds exciting to you, it's exciting to me, you can always subscribe so you can keep track of what I'm doing here. And down here, this is important. This is not financial advice, just what we're doing with our money. If we lose it, so be it. Some people says this is bad advice. And how did I know this is bad advice? Because people email me and tell me and leave comments that this is bad advice. So I think it's good advice, but I don't give advice. I just tell you what I'm doing. So I like to look to see how the stock market is doing overall. You can see that it did hit some highs over here, the S&P 500 we're looking at, or the SPY. And then we have the Greenland tariff news. And then it was like, never mind. And it bounced back up here to about the 20-day moving average. So this black line is the 20-day moving average. The red line is the 50-day moving average. And this whole thing is called the Bollinger Band. And think of it as a highway with guardrails. So the stock is going down the highway and it bounces off the guardrails. It kind of stays on the road here. That's my explanation. And I use this to determine when I sell options. That's a whole nother video. But I like to look to see how the stock market's doing overall to compare it to how I'm doing with this account, so I know if I'm doing okay or average or whatever. The other thing I look at is the RSI, and right now it's at 52. When it gets up here like to 70 or 80, it means that the stock market is oversold and you can expect things to bounce back down. And when it gets down here to like 20 or 30, it means it's oversold and it will bounce back up. Did I say when it goes to 70 it is oversold? I meant to say it's overbought. So don't correct me on that later if I said it the wrong way. So how are things going? So I started with 70,000 in this account, and that was about 15 months ago. And then today it's at 97,924. So that's pretty good. And over here you can see all the ETFs we're holding, how many shares. Now I did buy 200 more shares of TDAC down here. We'll talk about that more in a few minutes. And I do sell some options on this account. I just started doing that recently to try to bump up my return. And these are the current options I have out there right now. If I closed all these options, let's say like Monday morning, if the price doesn't change, I would make like $84 from this one, lose $52 here, and lose $2 here. I got a lot of videos about options if you're interested in how that works. I like it. I do well with options, and might be something you might be interested in if you want to make some extra money. Sounds scary and complicated, and the people that tell you that probably have never sold options before. And a key word I'm using is selling options, not buying options. So that's a very big difference when you're dealing with options here between buying and selling. So how did things go this week? So I collected, all these are distributions I collected this past week. MAGY, TDAC, QQQI, SPY-I. So these three here pay monthly. MAGY and QDTE pays every week. So you can see Monday I'm expecting another payment from MAGY. And last Monday this is what I received in MAGY. And I mentioned the option income. So here in green, this black line separates where the month ends. So right here starts January 1st. This is sorted by the date I closed the trades. So first column is when I open the trade by selling an option. This was originally the expiration dates, and then this is the date that I close the trade or it expires. 9 times out of 10, I close the trade early. When I've locked in a certain amount of profit, I just get out of it and free up my money for something else. This is not a video about how to trade options, it's just showing the results. So for the month of January, in this account only, I've made $518. And I'm doing that just to boost my return on this account. And I didn't talk about a goal, but my goal for this account is try to earn 50% this year. And that's going to scare people, but I think I can do it. Last year I got 36%. I wasn't selling options. This year I'm going to hope for the same return on my ETFs approximately. I'm going to try to boost that up with this option money. And speaking of the returns from the ETFs, so this is showing the results for the ETFs this month for January. This is what I paid in margin here, this 281. This is all the ETF distribution. I put the option income right here. I just put the total in here. And so for January, I've collected $37.96 in ETF distributions and option income. To hit 50% for this year, I need to average about $4,000 a month. Now, my thinking is this will start out more in the 3,000s. And this distribution here was a little bit higher than normal because of some tax things that QDT has to do at the end of the year. Even though they did that in December, I didn't get this payment until January 2nd, so that's why it's on January. But typically this distribution would have been about $150 to $180 about. Whatever this totals down here at the very bottom, you probably subtract at least $1,000 off that. But I should be collecting about another $1,000 from these two distributions here in the next week. So this should end up about the same amount here, maybe like $3,600 next week, if you subtract that extra $1,000. So I cleaned up this spreadsheet a little bit. I did have all the stock I bought all through the last year. So what I did, I just brought over the 2025 total, which was 191,000 total that I bought. Well, then I bought 200 more shares of TDAC, and this is the total amount. So this is how much I've bought in stock so far. And the NAV has declined on some of those ETFs like QDTE and AIPI, but the total distributions were like 35-40%. So the total return was like 20%. So even though the NAV has declined, and the reason why this is like 196,000, this is including the total amount invested. And in a minute, you'll see more what I'm talking about. But the total amount invested includes my money plus the margin money that I'm using. And let's look at the total returns real quick. So a year ago, this experiment earned 36%. So far, 2026, I'm up 3.28%. And people say, why not just buy QQQ and be done with it? Well, so far this year, QQQ is up 1.21%. I can't remember what it was last year, low 20s maybe. A year ago, SPY was like 15 or 16%. And these are the other funds I'm holding in this account. So you can see how they're doing if I were just holding these without any margin. Now I'm going to keep a close eye on MAGY and QDTE and AIPI. If they underperform, then I'll probably liquidate that money and put the money into QQQI and TDAC. I don't plan on buying any more shares of AIPI, QDTE, or MAGY. So at the beginning of this project, I projected how things would go versus how they would actually go. And I started fresh January 1st. So January 1st, I brought over 95,254. This is how much margin we brought over. This is the total amount invested, 61,000. So this is projected over here, and this is what's actually happening over here. So if everything goes as projected, I'm trying to get the margin paid down to be 50% of the equity. So this is 108,000 projected here on May 1st. And my projection would be that margin is like 50% of that number, 50% right here. So I didn't plan on buying any more ETFs. I just plan on having the distributions from the ETFs and the option money pay the margin down to get to that number. However, because the market took a dip, I thought TDAC was a nice time to dip in and buy a couple hundred shares. I went ahead and did that. So you can see my margin was going down from 65,000 down to 62,000, and then I bought $5,000 worth of stock, raised my margin back up. But this time I plan on not buying anymore. I'm still seeing if I can get down here on May 1st. Might be a few weeks later, or if the market spikes, it could happen sooner. So my plan is not to buy any more ETFs until I get my margin down to be 50% of this number. Right now it's 68%. Last April when the market dipped down, this was like 120% margin I was using, so that wasn't a good thing. But I just kept doing what I was doing, and things turned around and things bounced up. So at one point this was down to 49,000. So my 70,000 went to 49,000. I just kept going at it. I was making videos every week. And for those of you that have been following me, you can see how it just kind of grew back up, and this is where we're at now. So this is all about how it compares to the rental house. Well, if we would have kept that rental house, this is kind of how things would have been. So we would have brought over from 2025 about $4,700 in cash in the checking account. The house would have been worth about $73,000. We'd be collecting $800 a month in rent. I raised the rent, kind of pretend like I raised the rent, and the expenses would have went up probably a little bit to $450 per month. So taxes and insurance are included in this expense. Taxes and insurance are expensive in Illinois, just like a lot of states. So that's what it is. And I also figured that the equity would grow at $233 per month. So I add to the equity each month. So the equity in cash for the house would be like $78,570. And I had people question me, like, where are you getting those expense numbers from? Well, this is actually from our tax returns for 3 years. It shows what the expenses really were. And for those 3 years, it averaged $368 a month. And if you want to get real technical, I only got $609 a month in rent. So when you do the math here, the house was paid off, so there was no mortgage. So if you did the actual math, I was only making like $230 or $40 per month. However, the house was getting tore up pretty good. There were some broken windows. The renters had did some damage. I was wanting the renters to move out. They were causing more damage faster and making the value of the house go down faster than what the equity was growing. So I decided to sell the house. That's just like the story from other houses too. So before we sold that house, we ended up spending $15,000 in repairing a lot of things that needed to be repaired and just updating things. So we did new soffit, fascia, gutters, windows, paint, all kinds of stuff. Spent $15,000 on this house. So we ended up selling it for $85,000, and so we netted about $70,000. That's where the $70,000 comes from. However, if you figured in the $309 a month, this is divided over 36 months, I believe. If you added that 309 to the 267, you're at almost $700 a month. So when we sold the house, we were getting $700 a month in rent, so we're almost losing money on the whole deal. So when everything is all said and done, the rental house is at $78,570. The ETF sitting at $97,925. So the ETF is up $19,355, almost $20,000 in about 14 or 15 months. So I would say the ETFs are doing better. And except for that little scare in April with the big dip, I've been really happy. I haven't had any calls about sewer lines being plugged up or windows getting broke or anything else like that. And just remember, I'm just some guy on the internet telling people what I'm doing, showing how results are working. These are real numbers, real money. It's not paper trading. So if you like this type of thing, make sure you subscribe and check out some of the other videos I got, especially the videos about options. That's always fun. So until then, we'll see you in the next video.